eventually you get absorbed in, and you are Sonic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to No Repeat. It's a podcast where we pick 3 songs every week with no repeats and no do-overs to create a perfect playlist for every occasion life throws at you. I'm Taylor Olmstead and I'm joined by my co-host, Tyler Reed.
Support your politicians that support transit policies. Ride the bus, ride the train. Get anywhere you can, but don't drive a car.
I think what Tyler's saying is, come on, ride the train. Ride it.
Woo woo. Yeah, that's, you know what, Taylor, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, everyone's favorite transit system, MARTA.
Debatable. And Sean Evans.
Oh, okay.
2 out of 7.
Tyler, what was our challenge this week?
This week, trying to find the perfect song for walking back to your car and find you a parking ticket. Submitted by Angry Tetris. And if you want to submit your own challenge, you can DM us at us, NoRepeatPod, on Instagram or Twitter, or you can always send us an email. You remember those? Back at the Stone Ages, we sent emails to each other. NoRepeatPod@gmail.com. Thanks so much.
All right, so let's just confess our sins here at the top of the show.
Uh-huh.
Has everyone here gotten a parking ticket? Because I
Yes.
certainly
I've
have.
never gotten a parking ticket.
You've never gotten a parking
I've
ticket.
never gotten a parking ticket.
You lived in Athens, Ohio for 3 years and you
I
never got a parking ticket.
got a parking ticket because I paid for my parking.
Mr. Goody Two Shoes.
I've gotten a speeding ticket. I've gotten a ticket for faded plates for whatever that's worth, but
Haven't gotten that one. I got one for running a red light, which wasn't entirely my fault. And then I've gotten, I think, like 2 parking tickets total. But I mentioned.
Wait. So I have.
The truth is being revealed in real time.
Well, it's like it's weird. I remember that we talked. I was thinking about this before we got off the show last week. That I have gotten. How do I say this? Like I have gotten I got a parking ticket when I was in DC, but it was a weird parking ticket. And then I got like a tax notification when I was living in Arlington. If that makes sense.
About like you parked in this lot, so now you have to pay type of thing.
Yeah, and it was more like you have quote unquote garaged your car in the city now, so you need to pay taxes or we're going to come after you and seize your property kind of thing.
Oh, weird.
Oh, seems a little intense.
So that's even more intense than Athens, Ohio, where Sean and I lived for a while, where they used to come out once a day and put chalk marks around one of your rear tires because you could only park in the same place for 24 hours. And if they came back the next day and the chalk was still there, they ticketed you. I don't think they're allowed to do that anymore. I feel like somebody sued the city and they are no longer allowed to do that. But that was the worst.
Feels like harassment.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately what they got him on, something like that, or entrapment or something. But I got a ticket on my second date with my now fiance, Josiah. I illegally street parked to go to dinner. I guess I didn't illegally street park. I parked in a residential neighborhood during the time when it wasn't permit only, but then we stayed at dinner a little too long, and the street switched over to only being residential, and I got a $25 parking ticket, which he paid for me like a gentleman.
See, this is like my weird parking ticket thing with DC. Like, if you live in DC and you're not a resident, you have to file for this permit to have your license plate on file, and it's this whole big thing, but you actually cannot start the process for getting this permit until you've been ticketed.
What?
Yeah, it's like a really bizarre thing.
So then do they like grant you amnesty on that first ticket?
It's a no fine citation as long as you apply for the permit within 3 months of getting a citation.
That's wild.
And then so you pay like $85 for the permit or something like that, and it gets you like 12 months worth of like permitted residency for parking on the street in DC.
So all of this to say, we have all experienced the combination of terror, anger, and strife that comes when you walk up to your car and you see a piece of paper under the windshield wiper and you think, this is about to cost me some money. What goes through your head when that happens? What's your immediate reaction?
Really?
Are you upset with
Sean's
yourself?
response.
Are you upset
Yeah.
with the street? Are you upset with car culture? Like, what is your really directed towards?
Everything. It's gotten better since I've been here in Cleveland, but when I got it in Arlington, I was like, you really went out of your way to do this. Like, it was a garaged citation. And I like looked it up in the statutes and stuff, and it was basically like, if you are a resident and you park there, or not a resident and you park there, they're gonna come like get property tax on you. Which means that they came into our parking lot, they scanned all of our plates, and they just went down. It was like an annual thing. Like every year, they just go down the line and they just put a big orange sticker on your car that says, if you move this car, you are like violating the law, and this is we're in the process of seizing your property until you pay your property tax on it. Yeah, it was like a big show, a big to do. It went way over the top all the time, and I was like, this is so ridiculous. Like, it was just bizarre. And then what was the other one? Oh, yeah. I mean, in Athens, it was just dumb. You were like, really? Like, this lot is empty, and you're like really that concerned about it? You're really going to come after people for this? Like, really?
It feels petty.
Right. It's like, I went to the bar last night, and I got a little too drunk, and I called an Uber and got a ride home, and I come to the parking lot in the morning and there's a citation on my car. So I guess shame on me for doing the right thing when, you know,
That's right. This is your
something
fault.
happened. Right, exactly. It's just, it always seems like a money grab in some sense. Like, oh, if you need to up your tax base, I don't know if this is the way to do it, but sure. Create the economy of crime in your town that you want to see.
Tyler, what's your reaction when you see that slip of paper?
I mean, it's been a minute since I've gotten a parking ticket. In some ways, it's sort of like the Kurt Vile song, Loading Zone, where you know where to park at the right time to not get the tickets. But when I started dating someone that was living downtown, it was like 3 in like it was like maybe like 2 in a month, and like, you know, it was like it was rough. Just because it was like, you know, you have to like run outside. It's like, oh, well, you gotta, you know, the meters turn on at 9 a.m. And it's like, and they're right there. One was like, I parked too close to a curb or something in like a residential area downtown. I was like, okay. But I'm just like, every time I'm just, well, I feel like this way, almost anytime anything car related happens, you're just like, like, come on. Like, it's as long as your car is like functional for the most part, like you don't, like, it doesn't have like a big problem with it that you're trying to like rectify. You're just kind of like, I just need this thing to work and to function, and it's like, I don't want any problems with this thing at all. And the exact moment something bad happens, I'm gonna be furious. And it's like, I don't even try to like, I Googled really quick. I was like, can you go to jail for parking tickets? And it's like, I mean, at some point you probably could if you really just didn't pay for things.
Right.
But it's just sort of like, that sort of like bureaucratic like frustration that it's like, yeah, I didn't, there's nothing, this is nothing. What you got me for, air quotes, you know, it's petty. It feels petty every time. It's like I could pay like a couple bucks, and instead I get dinged $50.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Like, let me just explain how I feel about this, because I have in-depth feelings about it. I understand that the reason that meters and parking laws exist is because we basically, in a lot of places, in a lot of like little downtown areas, the number of cars that need to be there now and the number of cars that exist that want to be there now are in proportions that don't make sense. So having a small toll at a meter to make sure that traffic moves to stimulate business or turnover, like parking for residents or something like that, makes complete sense to me. It is not lost on me. But the fact that the fine on the other side of that is extremely disproportionate to that, or that there's no other good viable options, is absolutely ridiculous to me. Like, and I don't really want to hear either like, well, we have public transit infrastructure that gets you there. It's like, yeah, that makes sense, and our tax base also pays for that. But really, like $50, $25 for a 75 cents an hour parking fee? Or if you go to a big city, right? I remember this in Georgetown. Go to Georgetown. It's like $4 for a half an hour to park in Georgetown. Like,
Oh,
what
yeah.
the hell?
I
And I remember
frequently pay $3 an hour,
It's ridiculous.
even a half hour in some parts of
Right.
Atlanta.
And the other part that people don't understand is like, I remember reading this in a book about like public grifting, was that a lot of like parking meters are actually privately owned.
Bingo,
like,
yes.
when you
that's what I
put
was
your
just about to
money-
talk about.
Right. When you put your money in a parking meter, it goes to a private company or an investment bank or an overseas government or something along those lines. And then if you go over it, then the city tickets you and so it's just like, really? Like, this is how you're going to enforce it? And the thing about it is, it seems like it's very... I mean, Taylor, you've been to these places. Tyler, you've been to these places. It seems like a lot of the time the people that have to park in these places are not exactly people that... It seems like a very odd regressive tax. Parking tickets,
Oh, yeah,
I should say.
for sure.
Like, it's not... Right. Like, if you have the ability to live in these places, you're not worried about parking tickets because you can afford an $8,000 a month loft. You know? Like,
With a dedicated parking space.
right, exactly. Which
And if
you
you're just
already
coming
pay
down
for
to
out
see
the
a
nose.
Broadway show, you're going to valet your car for $20.
Right. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can go on.
No, the car culture in cities is obnoxious everywhere in America, basically, and it's varying degrees of obnoxious depending on where you live. When I first moved to Atlanta, there was this huge backlash against the private company that managed city parking. They were called Park ATL, and everyone was like showing up to city council meetings with all these egregious examples of ticketing. I remember I got a ticket once for being too close to a fire hydrant, and one of my friends came outside the restaurant and laid down on the ground so that I could take a picture of the fact that I was 6 feet away from the hydrant when the ticket was put in. And like, we didn't end up submitting that as evidence and fighting the ticket because it was like $25, but that was what Park ATL wanted. They just wanted to collect those $25 tickets all the time.
Right, exactly.
And I don't know how it happened, but somehow the city forced them out and they have a new like agency that handles parking now. It's like the whole debacle kind of made me just like lose any patience or tolerance for this. Like, yes, I will pay for the meter. You know, I'm not a parking anarchist. I'm not going downtown and just like leaving my car places. But I'm a fight for free parking wherever I can get it. But I'm also going to take transit whenever I can because the whole car infrastructure is a racket. And it just, to Sean's point, like, my reaction is like this kind of like resigned anger, but also this kind of like almost like righteous fury in a way, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you have created the problem that you are fining me for.
Right.
Like, the solutions are not anything that I can do. And so, you know, thanks, I guess. It is what it is, you know?
I feel the same way. I'm just like, you've made up this problem. You know, it's like taking the effect and making the cause. It's just...
Isn't there a White Stripes song about that?
There is, exactly. It's
Probably should have picked that one.
It's exactly
But as far-
what this is.
But as far as songs go, I was looking for that kind of like righteous rage feeling, the like, I'm angry and I know I'm right, but also life is hard and I hate this. And like, basically, I needed punk rock this week. I needed like the kind of like anger over inconveniences that can only be found in modern pop punk, because, you know, there's a lot of music out there about real struggles, I was not going to pick a blues track about getting a $25 parking ticket. That seems like a little bit overkill. So at the end of the day, it is a minor inconvenience.
Right. This is definitely a challenge that feels largely the problem is that like for us of reasonable monetary stability, we're like, this is a nuisance. But I'm sure for someone it could be much worse. But I agree that it's sort of like it's just a more like an annoyance more so than like an actual problem.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. When I got my faded plates tag, which was through a city court, it was so there's nothing but like there's no points on your license. It was basically just a made up citation. It was like an $80 citation for me to pay to the city. And that was basically 10 hours of my work right there. I was so mad. I was like, I cannot believe this is really happening to me right now. It wasn't a parking ticket, but it might as well have been just the same. Like, are you really going to do this to me?
So how did you pick a song for this?
Tapped into those primal feelings.
Yeah. Anti-establishment areas. No, don't cut that. So what I was thinking about was I kind of started a little goofy. You know, I kind of want something that felt a little. I felt like NoFX is like a kind of like a good place to start, like something that's like kind of irreverent, sort of like jokey, but still like angry. I was like, does Alanis Morissette have a song where she's like only kind of angry about something that's not like a relationship? Because I feel like she's got the right attitude for this, but I don't think her subject matter typically deals within parking infractions. So
I really want her to write a song about that, though. That sounds awesome.
As it turns out, there was that would be great. As it turns out, not a lot of artists write songs about parking infractions. They should, though. I think there should be a market for that. But I was generally also in the punk section. You know, I think like if you look at kind of like some of my B-sides, it's like Minutemen. Minutemen are like sort of like political adjacent, so it's also like a little too intense. Like Propagandhi, which is also sort of like they're a little more serious. I thought like Yard.
That's the hard part. A lot of the songs that I wanted to pick were just too serious.
You're like, I hate I hate I hate the police. It's like there's plenty of that. If we wanted songs about that, Bounty, we have endless choice. But you know,
maybe a little strong for a parking ticket.
Yeah, like Yard Act. I was like, does Parquet Courts have a song that's like not like super like dark for that? I was like, I was a teenage anarchist. It's like, do I care about this? Am I like gonna like? I feel like a lot of people. I hear some people who are far more punk than I am. Just don't pay for parking tickets. Like if they get in like a different state, they're just like, I mean, whatever. What am I gonna do? So there was like definitely like a kind of like an anarchist sort of like perspective you could have had with it, where you're just like, I'm just gonna rip it up. What are they gonna do? Which is also probably the same people who are like, I got medical bills or I got medical debt, and I'm just not paying for that. Yeah.
All right, well, let's vent some rage. Who wants to go first?
Do we want to start with the Blink-182 offshoot show, or do we want to go for the classic punk show?
Harsh.
It's punk all the way down, baby. Wow.
No, I'm just saying. There's a lot of my life peripheral conversations have been just leaning real hard into the fact that it's $1,000 to stand in the pit to see Blink-182 play.
And the new single isn't even that good.
Ooh,
not good.
There's a lot of stabbing rabbits.
All right, well, I guess I will go first, and I did not pick the semi-blatant cash grab that is the new Blink single. Instead, I picked Relentless by Pup. Pup is a Toronto-based punk band, kind of known for their goofiness, their silliness, their big scream-along choruses. feel like they've really kind of taken up the mantle in some ways, like Sean said, of Blink-182, but in a more maybe jammy way. Feels a little looser, not as well put together. And I have always kind of been adjacently aware of Pup, but never really listened to them. But I needed something to listen to on a run yesterday. And I was like, I want to have a punk run. So I put on a playlist that had a bunch of Pup on it. It was like a punk rock running playlist, essentially. And I was like, you know what? I dig this band. This band actually slaps. And this song in particular really got me. When it talks about F all the dread, it's endless. I was like, ooh, a little bit of ennui there. All right. Talk about trying to get ahead, and it's relentless, and just like the struggle of life, you know? It's kind of how it feels when you get a parking ticket sometimes, where like, you know, you're having a day, and then all of a sudden it gets derailed by this parking ticket, and you're like, damn it. Just can't go my way. World's just out to get me. So you crank up some Pup, and you drive away from that parking space angry, and you get home and hunt out your checkbook, because who even has checks anymore? And then you angrily send a check in the mail. You got to go find a post office box, because Lord knows you live in an apartment and there's no outgoing mail slot. And it's relentless. It's extremely difficult. And all of that because you just couldn't find an open parking meter, or you were a little too close to the curb, or you stayed too long and ran over your space limit. I mean, sometimes the world's just out to get you. And when it is, you should listen to Pup.
I like the bridge in this song. I think it's kind of cool, and there's some like fun Smashing Pumpkins vibes that happen in here. But yeah, no, I totally feel like Relentless is exactly what parking tickets feel like when you get stuff. And it's just like, really? Like, I just had the worst night of sleep in my life. I just met this new person. They only have a twin bed in their apartment. And, you know, we're trying to fall in love, and I'm just squeezing in them. And I found out they have, like, night punching fits. And, you know, I got this black eye now. And my kidney's missing. And now I have a $15 parking ticket that I have to pay with a check by the mail, and it's due tomorrow. Like, really? This is what it's come down to? Yeah, it works. It slaps, it plays.
I think it's interesting that you noted on that there was like a sing-alongable chorus, because for some reason the mix on this feels like the vocals are so buried in it.
Okay, so this is the problem, right? I discovered this song as a live version.
Okay.
And the live version has its mixing problems too, but that's because it's a live version.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not in love with the mixing on the chorus on this one, but the verses sound fine. And I couldn't find a version where the mix was exactly what I wanted, which is annoying because I feel like it's a well-written song, but
yeah,
there's something wrong. There's either something wrong or they made a very unique choice in this mix, but either way, not my thing.
Yeah. Well, okay, cool. I'm glad that we can kind of like agree on that, because it's like I think I like all of the components of this, but I just feel like it's very hard to, because I feel like your pick is really based on sort of like the lyrical content. Like the genre is in the right wheelhouse, right? Like it's punk, it's pop punk, whatever you want to call it. And like the lyrics are like fun. Like I feel like there's a nice sort of like punk poetry to it. You know, it's not exactly like elegant, but it's sort of just like it feels real, it feels raw, it feels like it comes from a place. And so I like that. You know, I like all the parts of that. I just wish it wasn't so buried, because although I feel like a lot of the problem with the pop punk genre is that I feel like it does often lean on the vocals as like the main like melodic like interesting part of it. I feel like that is sort of like the part that you want to be able to hear. You want to be clear, you want to be crisp, you want to be able to sing along to it. So I feel like I would thoroughly enjoy seeing them live, if nothing else, just for like maybe like a different mix of this. And you know, I don't think I've listened to Pup. So I'd be curious to see like what other albums sound like, and because I do think there's a good amount of artistry. I feel like they aren't just writing like really basic, boring songs, right? Like this doesn't seem boring. Like there's enough going on here that to sink my teeth into that I'm like intrigued by it. So yeah, but I feel like I think it pretty clearly meets the challenge in all the ways it needs to. So, but I'm glad we were able to kind of come to agreement on the production end of it.
Well, Tyler, let's keep it contemporary. Let's do your pick next.
All right, this week I chose Cutesy Monster Man by Iron Sheik. So I almost exclusively picked this song for the first words that come out of the mouth, that being, I want to smash my face into that goddamn radio, because it feels so visceral and feels like so real, and it feels exactly how, like, what I would do, like, when I find the ticket. I'm just like, blammo, Foley work, put it in post, just... Man, come on. But that being said, I feel like the song sort of is kind of like you're sort of like taking your lumps, you're sort of getting knocked down, and you're getting back up again. You're kind of finding your way to sort of persevere and sort of get through it. And so I feel like the sort of like constant sort of like, it's not screamed vocal, it's like a yelled vocal, like a shouted vocal. There we go. The shouted vocal, I feel like just kind of like gives this sort of like agitated sound that I feel like is really nice and really kind of fits sort of like the attitude I wanted. But sort of like Taylor in a way, it's kind of like you're trying to rise above, and it kind of has like a little bit of like pop punk energy to it. So I feel like it gives you a little bit of movement, allows you to kind of keep on going. And so Iron Sheik is just a band that's sort of like, when did this come out? 2012 is kind of part of that like wave of pop punk that I sort of discovered kind of along the lines of Direct Hit and River, that they didn't really kind of go, like launch into like a huge career, but I don't know, there was something sort of organic. It felt sort of like natural. I don't know. It feels like they were making interesting punk music, but for some reason the sound didn't really take off in the way that I kind of wanted to. And I've always kind of really had a fondness for this time period of punk that felt a little tender, but still like kind of rough. And like the vocals necessarily weren't exactly like melodic, but like there was lots of really cool like guitar parts. And so that's kind of like what has kind of always like drawn me to like that era of punk. So yeah, fun song for me.
I've always loved this track ever since Tyler found it and shared it with me. Iron Sheik, I think, is criminally underrated as a punk band, a pop punk band, just a rock band in general. I feel like they have a really good knack for arranging rock music. Like, you can hear everything here and you can understand what's going on, and it has good dynamics, and there's this nice like vocal harmony on just about everything here. Like, they know what they're doing, and this is their debut record, and every record they've put out since then is just as good as this. Like, the sound gets a little samey, but they're so technically good at it that I don't really care. And as far as the energy, I think you nailed it. The like pissed off, but like you just gotta keep on going. That's the vibe. This is what punk music is for.
This is what punk music is. Yeah, no, this is good. I like it has a Dropkick Murphys vibe, but without the very annoying
bagpipe.
Hey, you said it. Okay, I don't want to release that hatred on our podcast at this point in time, but you know what I'm talking
I like
about.
a bagpipe. I choose a Dropkick Murphys song right now.
Sorry.
Change my pick.
Sorry that you feel like that.
Ship it up to Boston.
Nope, it's done now. You submitted it. It's over. It's in.
Hey, what's that, Tyler? Did you hear that? I think the boys are back. And I hear they're looking for trouble.
I like the up-tempo-ness. I like the way that it captures the anger that you feel when you see a parking ticket on your thing, on your car, and you're just like... And yeah, no, I think this is a really good pick. It's kind of annoying that we all picked punk songs this time around. It's one of those things where I was like, crap, I knew we were going to do it. And I can't complain because, I totally picked a song that was already picked on the podcast before, but it just felt like that was going to be my MO for this, but, whatever.
I appreciated you trying not to jump down the same genre pigeonhole that we did, but you immediately went to a song that had already been picked. And I think a song that you yourself had picked. So, try harder.
Oh.
Sean, what did you pick?
Oh, God. Well, this week I chose I Fought the Law by The Clash. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won. I left my baby and it feels so bad. I guess my race is won. She's the best girl that I ever had. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and So you've probably heard of this song if you listen to music. It's a pretty good song. It's a pretty classic song. Let me summarize the narrative for you. It's about somebody fighting the law. The law wins. Spoiler alert. Sorry, I didn't say that. It's by The Clash. They're a pretty famous punk band. You might have heard of them. Wow. Yeah, I mean, is there any more to say about this one? It's a pretty damn like up there high. You already know this song.
I mean, yeah, if you're listening to this podcast and you don't know I Fought the Law, someone has failed you. Now, you may not have known that this is a Clash song, and you may not have known that the Clash didn't write this song, that it's a cover of a song from the 50s. But all of that's fine. Like, when the Clash is Baby's first punk band and you just hear this and you're like, yeah, I Fought the Law, that song rocks. Good for you. Eventually you should learn that like the Clash is doing this song as kind of like an homage to classic rock, and this is like a vaguely reggae-fied take of a rock and roll song, and then they would eventually become like a full-on ska dub reggae band later on. You don't need to know that for this. All you need to know for this is you're angry, you got a parking ticket, you fought the law, and guess what? You lost. The law won. Go pay your $25.
This is how I totally feel about traffic tickets a little bit, is like, it's really a probability game.
Yes, exactly. It's like, it's your turn.
Right. I'm just like, you know what? There's all these other people around here. What are the chances that I'm going to get caught today? Totally to what Tyler said about loading zones. And then it happens to you and you're just like, it doesn't make it okay in my mind still. It's like, really? Like, were you that lazy? Like, somebody got robbed last night down the street. You were there for that, right? Like, you stopped that? Oh, you didn't? But you still found the time to write me a ticket? Like, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, yeah.
Different departments, but...
Sorry, sir, if you want a hamburger, you're going to have to go to window 5. This is the fry window.
Listen, I share an anti-cop sentiment whenever I can, but I'm just, this specific instance. Go ahead, Taylor. What do you got? What do you say?
I already said my piece. I'm waiting on you to.
Did you? Okay. So I feel like the best part about sort of like early punk and sort of like its really like formative sound and years is that there's a real like simplicity and clarity to what they're saying. Like, I think what kind of gets lost between our two songs, Taylor, is that I feel like there's a lot of periphery noise kind of going on, but it's like really with this song you just get the vocals clean and delivered, like you hear it and it's like repetitive, and that's like kind of nice. I think it's sometimes like we couldn't do that forever, right? Like eventually we had to sort of expand into different sounds that sort of like gravitate into different genres and blah blah blah. But I think the reason why it's sort of like Baby's first punk band is because it has clear messages that are easy to communicate and you understand them. And it's just like, yeah, it makes sense that these are the first one. And it's still like approachable. It's like punk music, but it's almost so much in its proto form that that a wide audience can still appreciate it. So like your dad is still going to be like, "Oh yeah, this is appropriate enough to show my kid when they're like 5." It's like you're not gonna show them. I don't know, like you're not gonna show them like Bad Religion, right? You're like, I don't know if I want to like.
Yeah, they're not ready for Minutemen.
No, there's a lot of stuff, but I feel like, I mean, sure, you have to also curate. I feel like the Clash probably. I'm sure there's some songs that are less appropriate, but like this song is like, yeah, this is like an all ages song. As much as it can be for the genre. So I think that with that being said, I think it appropriately matches the sort of the energy of, like this like sucks, I hate it, but I mean, I guess I'll be all right, I guess. So I think it's a very good pick.
Oh, all right. Well, with that, let's go to listener B-sides. All right. So episode 203, Parking Ticket. At Rory Snake wrote us a comment. It looks like it says, "Come Sail Away" by Styx. Oh my! I know what you're talking about. So the comment is when you discover the parking ticket when they bump up the tempo.
I guess.
Oh my God.
Come sail away with me.
I'm gonna say no on that one.
I don't know why I felt so drunk in that moment. I'm sorry.
I see it, but it's kind of a stretch there. So our next listener submission, Julian Seth said, "Bound for the Floor" by Local H.
Yeah, Local H, another classic punk band.
At Rude Cincinnati, picked 99 Problems by Jay-Z. I'm guessing that Ticket Ain't One is
there you go.
One of those problems, which is a really soft brag for a song like that,
Yeah, you're not worried about it.
Yeah.
It is a good use of that song, though. I'll allow it.
No, I think it.
I feel like only a listener can suggest it because they have no stake in this game. But there's a legacy to uphold for us. We can't just choose that's such a classic, iconic song, just willy-nilly.
I think part of the fun of 99 Problems, though, is like, he literally says, "If you having girl problems, I feel bad for you, son." Because all of his problems are less significant than girl problems.
That's a good position to be in, Jay-Z. How you doing right now?
He's married to Beyonce, so.
I mean, he owns multiple Picassos and his wife is Beyonce. He's doing great.
Right, I'm pretty sure that. And none of them have soup on them, so there you go.
Hey!
Topical.
And then our last listener submission was Sign and Signified. Had Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit. I think this might be the first entry of Limp Bizkit onto this entire show.
I think so too.
Agreed.
But you know what?
And here's what I'll say. If you have not watched the 3-part Woodstock 99 documentary on Netflix, and this includes you two, Tyler and Sean, necessary viewing.
Okay. Billy Joe Armstrong?
I think so.
Necessary viewing? Okay.
I think so. You will never be able to listen to the song Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit in the same way ever again.
Okay.
Well, I would argue part of the fun of watching that documentary is like everybody gets to pick what you think is the moment where it all went to hell.
Yeah.
I think it is Limp Bizkit's performance. That's when Woodstock 99 ultimately fell apart to me.
All right.
But we'll have to see.
I think if you want to be a patron and you want to spend that $1 a month to help us out, fund this awesome show, and you want to get our take on the three-part Woodstock 99, did Limp Bizkit break stuff, break Woodstock 99? We'll give you that insight. Right, exactly. Or just $1 for 1 month. That's all it takes.
Yeah, you only got to sign up for 1 month to hear our take on Woodstock 99.
Right.
You can
Patreon.com/no repeat.
Right. But let's just say for one sweet, sweet moment that you got more than $1 that you want to give to us, and you want to invest that not in your local podcasts, but in your sweet local businesses. All you got to do is drive yourself on down to the Beachmont Roll Arena. You know what we're talking about. It's been a minute since Sweet Beachmont has been on this podcast, but we just want to continue to plug them all the time. They're doing God's work out there. They're keeping the kids off the meths. They're keeping the kids off the marijuanas. They're keeping the kids out of the gangs and spray painting under bridges. That's what Beachmont Roll Arena does. They're providing a community service akin to your local NPR station, okay? So if you're willing to donate to them, I'm just saying, it might not be a tote in your reward, but it will be a lifetime of memory and fun. All in one night at your local Roll Arena, and Beachmont Roll Arena can be that place for you. So.
That's right, kids. Don't do math, do roller skates.
All right, so with that, it's time for our B-sides. You got them. People might want to hear them. Let's go.
I really only had a couple. I had Meal Deal by Panic Shack. Panic Shack been on the podcast before. And then I had what is this song called? Ray of Pain by Neck Scars.
That sounds like a punk band.
Like I said, it was a punk rock running playlist.
Hey. All I really want, my last Morissette, that's not a song for that's not appropriate. Falling for the First Time by Bare Naked Ladies. I'm like, I don't feel like being in a children's entertainment show. Linoleum by NoFX. 100% Endurance by Yard Act. Great Cop by Fugazi. Pigs Will Pay by Propaganda. Was Teenage Anarchist by Against Me.
And then this week, my B-side that was already picked for the show was Wasn't Me by Shaggy.
It never is.
I know.
Wasn't Me's getting
that's what I mean.
The
like,
lineage, the lore.
That's why I felt it worked so good, because Taylor was saying, like, he had his friend lay down the distance between the fire hydrant and the bumper of his car. Like, all of a sudden, everybody becomes a lawyer. Like, as soon as you get a parking ticket, you're like, oh, man, I didn't think I was creative, but now I am definitely creative. Like, I'm going to figure out how I was correct here. But ultimately, you probably just...
Well, Tyler, if people want to find the best parking spots in Cincinnati, where can they get the deets from you?
It's Coffee Emporium's employee lot after 8 p.m. You can find my design illustration work at rudepets.club, and as always on the socials as Rude Pets Club on Instagram and Twitter.
Sean, if people need advice for you on how to sign and mail a check because it's 2022, where can they get that?
Well, you have to go to your bank and get checks first, but after that, send me a DM on Instagram, and I'll be happy to help you out. But you can find me there at TellyShop.
Get the check with the little puppies on them.
Oh, they love that.
And if you need help troubleshooting your mobile parking app, I am like the parking app whisperer. You can find me on the socials at TC Olmstead. All of these songs will be on the official No Repeat podcast playlist, and we'll be back next week with another episode of No Repeat.